With a burst of speed up the middle, gets open and scores! Scores! One-timer! The game is tied. Oh my! Oh no way! That's unbelievable! That's the save of the year, and it's not even the year yet. Moves on in, and he scores! Sick move! Wow!
Score! The slap shot 4-1.
So the shot through traffic, it's loose in front, they score!
Welcome to the 2012 DCHL Draft live from Brent Morman's house. 32 players are awaiting their opportunity to find out where they're going to play this season. I'm your host, Trevor Gauthier. Alongside me is my good friend Chris Hill. And Chris, are you excited for what's about to happen tonight?
Oh, very excited, Trevor. I can't wait to see how the teams fold out here. I can't wait to just get another year started in the DCHL.
First things first, let's talk about the rules of this year's draft.
The rules are going to be simple. We're going to start off with 3 coin tosses. The first coin toss is going to allow the captains to choose what color their jerseys. The second coin toss is going to be for the goalies. Whoever gets that gets the first picks on the goalies. And of course, the third and final coin toss is going to be the first overall pick for the players.
And then once the player draft starts, the rules are simple. The winning team of the coin toss obviously goes first, the losing team second. Back and forth, we go with each pick till they reach the final players in the draft. But big night for the DCHL. Now it's time to meet the captains. We're going to go with captain number 1.
And captain number 1 is going to be Brent Morman, also known as Captain Crunch. Former captain of the Dryden Crusaders. Get your little inside scoop on what Brent is. Brent, when he comes to the rink, he is nothing but heart. Leadership, nobody has the same leadership as Brent. He's there to help teach the kids how to play. He's a great defenseman. You can rely on him when come on the back. Great shot from the point too, a bit of a howitzer. And yeah, just a great leader.
So captain number 2 is Ben Borton. And of course, Ben Borton is definitely the better hockey player on paper. No insult to Brent, it's just because Ben Borton is just an outstanding athlete when it comes to the sport of hockey. He's good at offense, he's good at defense, and he's also a great leader. But also, he knows how to pick some good talent. So I think he might have the competitive edge when it comes to picking the better players. And now we're going to head into the coin tosses. Chris?
We're going to go right into the first coin toss, and that's for the jerseys. Ben Borden won the coin toss, and they picked Team Black. So Ben Borden will be the captain of Team Black, while Brent Morman will be the captain of Team White.
Now we're going to move on to the coin toss for the goaltenders. There you have it. Brent Morman, no surprise, he wins the coin toss. And he goes ahead and picks our good friend right here, Chris Hill, to be the goaltender of Team White. And no surprise really there, Brent picking Chris, because they do have a long history together. Chris has played with Brent all but one season that he's been in the DCHL. And I think Brent likes Chris because he sees how much Chris has grown since he's come in the DCHL as an inexperienced goaltender. Now, Chris is the less experienced of the 2 goaltenders, but what he brings is a lot of flash and a little bit of glitz and glamour with it. With his big, spectacular saves he makes, he brings the crowd to his feet, he brings his benches to his feet, and he can really be a game changer with the big saves he makes. Now, he does lack an experience, and sometimes he's a high-risk, high-reward goaltender, but for the most part, solid pickup by Brent Morman, picking Chris first overall. No real surprise here, Chris. Jeremy was the only other goaltender, full-time goaltender left in the draft for Ben to pick. Not a bad pick. No insult to Jeremy going after you, of course. It just happened to be where the cards happen to fall. Jeremy is an outstanding goaltender. The more experienced of the 2 goaltenders. He plays a much better positional game. He doesn't make the flashy saves like Chris does. He still can pull them off when he needs to, but he's more positionally sound, takes a lot more pucks in the chest, close into his pads where he controls his rebounds, and you get a lot less second chance opportunities off him. But like I said, neither goaltender really worse than the other. It was kind of a fair trade-off either way you went. So now we're going to move into the next coin toss, which is for the first overall pick.
Tails again. Tails it is. It is tails.
So there you go. Team White gets the first pick. Captain Brent Mormon is going to pick the first pick. But Trevor, who do you think, or what are your thoughts on who is going to be the first pick?
I really think he's going to go with his boy, Mikey Smith. And you know what? Just look at it. Not only is Mike one of the better talents that's listed in the draft right now, because he's a very outstanding forward, and he can also play defense and be sound, but also him and Brent go way back. They work out together, you know, so Brent has an insight of the work ethic that Mike has, and I think that's why he's going to pick Mike first overall.
And I'm going to go with Kyle Reed. The reason why I go with Kyle Reed, also because of the skill that he brings to the table. Very well offensively. He can dangle, and he's just very talented. And also, Kyle and Brent do go way back as well. Their friendship, they were even here before the DCHL even started.
So here it is, Chris, the moment everybody's been waiting for. Brent Moorman has made his decision, and he knows who his pick's going to be. So let's find out who's going to go first overall. Well, there you have it. Brent Moorman, no surprise. He picks his man, Mike Smith, first overall in the draft. What else can I say? Like, obviously he's going to make that pick.
Oh, exactly. You know what? And perfect pick for Brent Moorman. Leadership-wise, he's great. Also, his skills that he brings, as you said, he can play offense and defensively.
And really, he fills that gap that would be lacking offensively that Ben Borton brings to the table. He's a fairly fair trade-off between him and Ben, skill-wise, talent-wise. So it gives Team White that chance to catch up with Team Black. So now they can start building their team around Mike. He's a great cornerstone of the franchise.
Now let's see Ben Borton's first pick.
So an off-the-chart pick for Ben early on. He goes out and picks a rookie. Not off-the-chart skill-wise, because definitely Ryan is right up there with the upper echelon of this league. He has the skill-wise to even be one of the best players in this league. He's one of the fastest skaters, definitely in this draft. He's got great hands, and in fact, actually in the Dryden Men's Commercial League, probably has the highest number of breakaway opportunities because of his breakaway speed and because he can sense the play breaking out of his own zone, and he leaves the defenseman in his dust and gets up there. Pick-wise, off the charts because he's a rookie. Nobody else other than us really knows who he is, but very solid pick.
Brent Moorman is now ready to pick his second overall pick for Team White. No-brainer, Brent Moorman picking Kyle Reed. Great second choice, once again. Great leadership, also great offensive player.
And Kyle is really the complete package offensively. He's got a good shot, he's fairly quick, he's got decent hands, and he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing out there, and then he leaves you in the dust and he snipes on your goaltender. So,
exactly.
So you don't really know how to describe it. If Brent can manage to pick up his brother, you got the Sedin twins on your team. Jody actually hasn't entered the draft yet as of now, so right now just Kyle Reed's available. So third overall pick, Kyle Reed, good by Brent Moorman. And it appears as though Ben is now ready to make his pick.
Sonny is coming off his rookie year as a former Crusader, so good steal by Ben. Sonny brings to the table a good defensive player, makes smart plays once again in his own zone offensively. Very good shot, very smart with the puck.
Exactly, he is a complete package. He plays more defense than he does offense, but when he gets put up front, he can also produce points. He's got good wheels, good hands, and he can put that shot where he wants it, and he'll get a few goals this year. Just watch.
And looks like Brent is ready for his next pick. Well,
Ben Carlson now is the next pick here, made by Mr. Brent Moorman. I actually was surprised he made this pick because he might not necessarily know the skill level of Ben. Brent, I don't believe, has ever seen him play. However, good pick definitely by Brent. Ben plays in the Dryden Men's Commercial League, and he's by no means the fastest player drafted so far. But what he brings is probably one of the best shots, and he also has some pretty decent hands for deep into the defenseman and beating the goaltender. Put him on a line with the Reeds or with Mikey Smith, or even you can throw him back on defense. He can make a difference.
Now let's go and see Ben Borden's next pick.
Sixth draft pick there, Miles Piccinese. Are you a bit surprised your boy slid all the way down to that far in the ranking?
Actually, I am. But don't get me wrong, the 2 picks by Ben Borden, stellar players. I believe Sonny and Miles will work good together and be able to create a lot of offensive plays.
And Miles is definitely a solid defenseman. And when you put a young guy like Sonny with a definite solid defenseman like Miles Piccinese, it's only going to benefit both players because Sonny's going to have that youth and energy to go chase those pucks. And Miles is going to be the stay-at-home smart defenseman, you know, that's going to always be in position. Sonny will learn off Miles, and Miles will benefit from the youthful energy of Sonny.
So let's go and see Brent's next pick.
Jason Anderson has traditionally been a Spartan. However, Brent goes off book here. He decides to try and take, because you know what? Jason Anderson is a great guy to start building your defense around. He's good in his own zone. He's very smart with the puck, and he makes crisp outlet passes. And you know what? When he gets in the offensive zone, he has the smarts to make some good plays at the blue line, pinch in when he needs to. He's got a good shot that he can keep nice and low. So he's going to be a threat in the offensive zone, and he's also going to be very solid in the defensive zone as well. So great pick by Brent.
Okay, now let's see what Ben has answer for this. Jonathan Chum, former Crusader. Last year he's been actually I believe Jonathan Chum has been a Crusader for 2 years at least, if I am correct. Great player, skill-wise, his hands are maybe one of the best in the league. He can be as close as you and I right now and leave you hanging. Unbelievable hands.
Some would say he could stick handle his way out of a phone booth, and spectacular when it comes to in-tight stick handling. The only question mark that really looms over his head is how many games he's actually going to make, because he has been a Crusader for the last couple of years, but he's only made about 2 or 3 games in the last couple of seasons. So hopefully for the Team Black's sake, he shows up, because he's definitely a threat for that team.
Now let's go see...
just 1 second here, Chris, before they go. Apparently they're going to be holding off the next draft pick here. There's been a trade announced between Ben and Brent. It sounds like it's 2 players straight across, no draft picks changing hands. It's going to be the last 2 guys draft. We're going to have Jason Anderson and John Chum swapping sides. So Jason is now going to be going over to Team Black, and Jonathan Chum is going over to Team White. Team Black, actually, now they have a very solid defense there with Anderson, Piccinese, and Hudson. And then for Team White, they actually are focusing mostly on offense, because now they have no defenseman other than the captain, Brent Mormon, playing defense.
Yeah, and if I was Brent Mormon, for the next couple picks, I would definitely be looking for some defensemen.
My only concern going forward from right now is it too late to start drafting defensemen, because the big 3 are now on the other team. So I guess we'll find out. It sounds like now Brent is ready to proceed with his next draft.
Trevor Gauthier, you just got drafted to Team White by Captain Brent Mormon. What are your thoughts? Are you happy on how early you were picked, or were you expecting to be picked later on in the draft, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I should have went first overall. Let's get one thing. I'm just kidding. You know, I'm very happy with where I went in the draft. You know, actually, getting drafted 9th overall was a really good spot to go. I mean, I had no expectation to be drafted right behind guys like Piccinese, Hudson, and Anderson. I mean, those guys are in a league of their own, way above where I'm at. I'm trying to idolize off them and learn from them. So to be drafted right below those guys is a huge honor for myself.
All right, looks like Ben Borden is ready for his next pick. Let's go and see who he picks.
So there you have it. Jordan Hoover goes 10th overall.
Yeah, great pick for Ben Borden. Hard worker. After every shift, he's tired, and you know what? He gives it all.
And you know what? He is a machine that doesn't stop chugging those legs. He's fast, and he'll beat defensemen with his speed, and he's got all right hands. He's made a few goaltenders look foolish in his time, so excellent pick for 10th overall. And now that we're at the 10th overall pick, we're going to take a quick look back and see how the draft has unfolded so far. All right, so now we're going to start with Team White here. Chris, what do you think of Team White so far after 10 rounds?
Team White has started off the night with Michael Smith. Once again, great leadership, great offensive threat. Following him is Kyle Reed, a great asset to the team. Offensively, well, we all know, we've seen it on the ice. He can put the puck wherever he wants. Following that is Ben Carlson. I personally don't know much about him, but from what you said, sounds like another great pick for Team White and Captain Brent Morvan. And then following that, after the trade, Jonathan Chum. Great hands once again, can leave you in the dust. And then yourself, once again, great defensive on the back. The start of the defensive players on Team White.
And hopefully Brent continues to build a little bit more defense into this team and not all about offense, because you can't just hope to score all the goals all night. But there's still lots of players left to be drafted, lots of defensemen left still. Now, as for Team Black, Ben Borden went off the well-beaten path, picked a rookie, a skilled rookie in Ryan Runge. He's one of the fastest players probably going to be in the league. His next pick, Sonny Hudson, a great defenseman, young, a rookie. I expected Miles to go first. Sonny goes before him, and I think it's mostly because, Sonny has a lot of youthful energy, and he's going to be full of great things this season. Right after him, picked another defenseman, was Miles Kitchenese. Miles, a great stalwart in his own zone, solid, makes a great outlet pass, and he will carry that defense core all the way through. And if he can't do it, then their next pick, Jason Anderson, will. He's another great defenseman, another great outlet pass, and he's good from the blue line, and he'll be a threat to score when he's on the ice, and hard to get around when he's in his own zone. And of course, the last pick, Jordan Hoover. He's got amazing wheels, this guy. Decent hands for deking out the goaltender and defenseman, but usually he just blows by so quickly, you don't realize he was even there. So that's it for the first 10 rounds of this draft. Pretty even across the board right now. More offense for Team White, more defense for Team Black, but like I said, it's early in the draft, there's lots of players left, and it can go either way right now. So we're going to get right to it, because it looks like Brent Morvan's ready with the 11th overall pick. th overall, Todd McDonald, not really surprised to go to Team White. Like a lot of the guys you see going to the Spartans, Todd McDonald, since he joined the league, has been a Crusader. Todd brings great hands, and every year his speed has gradually been improving. Like myself, like Brent Morvan, Todd was originally a goaltender. So when you start playing forward or defense, you got to relearn a lot. And Todd has been learning a lot, and he has been getting into great conditional shape, and his lungs are getting better, he's getting lighter on his feet, and he's just getting faster. So his hands are already there. So once his foot speed catches up to his hands, he's going to be an unstoppable force out there.
Oh, exactly. And just watching Todd, from the first year to now, he's improved drastically. Like, his speed, like you said, has increased 110%. Also, his hands, come on. When we're talking about hands, we talk about Todd McDonald. He's been able to dangle people, leave goalies hanging dry, and you know what? He's been putting them away.
Exactly, and because he scores goals, he's a valuable asset. Ben Borden now seems to be ready with his next draft pick, so we're going to go over to Ben. I played with Mike in the Dryden Men's Commercial League, and he's not the fastest guy on the ice. However, he's got one of the best work ethics that you can possibly get out of a player. He's got a pretty decent shot, and he creates turnovers that create scoring opportunities for him. He's got the smarts to go in the right spots on the ice to create the opportunities for himself. A great pickup by Ben. He's a great complementary player that you can put on a line with some of your more talented forwards, and they will get him the puck and you'll put it in the net.
Perfect. Now let's go back to the action and see who Brent Morvan picks. We all know who the Energized Bunny is. Well, if the Energized Bunny was real, this is the man, James Bazinet. This man is a machine. He's out there on the ice, skating his heart out every shift from the first minute of the game to the last minute of the game. It seems like he hasn't changed. He doesn't stop, he doesn't slow down, he just keeps getting faster and faster as the game progresses.
And this is an asset because his conditioning is so extreme that other teams can't match it. They're getting tired, he's getting better. So he's awesome in the third period when other guys are tired. In fact, he's been inspirational in creating comebacks in the third period because he keeps the energy going.
Exactly. So let's go and see Ben Borden's 14th pick.
The Lumberjack, Dan Robinson, gets drafted 14th overall by Ben Borton. Now, Dan has kind of been all over the league. He's an ex-goaltender, so it's a good pickup by Ben because now he's got a backup for Jeremy when Jeremy can't make it. But also, this guy comes out and he plays hard. He's not afraid to take on some pretty big challengers.
Yeah, especially if we look back 2 years ago, the Christian Cup, and he took on a guy that was 6'6", and you know what? That's how you earned the nickname Lumberjack. Dan's all heart and bravery.
Great heart, great pickup by Ben Borton. And now, here's Brent with the next pick. Well, Alan Giba, you know what? A bit of a surprise that he dropped this low. He's definitely one of the higher caliber defensemen, but I think the big reason he dropped down in the draft this year was he's not eligible for a lot of games because he lives now in Thunder Bay, but he does come down for work on occasion, so he wanted to be a part of the league still. So regretfully, because of that, dropped in the rankings, but still an outstanding player, solid in the defensive zone. I played with him last year in the Titus Cup, and it was great having a defenseman like him because you could always count on him to be in position, especially when I got out of position on a regular basis.
Exactly. You know what? Great pickup by Brent Mormon and Team White. Even though, yes, he is living 4 hours away from Dryden, the days that he will be able to make it will be a great asset to the team. And you know what? They will be able to rely on him a little bit more just because of his skill and what he brings to the table.
And now on to Ben Borton with his next pick. Ben keeps it close to home on that pick there. You know, no surprise, picks his dad to come in on his team. Not a bad player by any stretch. Perhaps a little bit higher in the draft than I would have picked him, but I think Ben wanted to make sure that he got his dad in his team.
Can't blame Ben for doing that. And also, what Ken brings to the table is his leadership, and he's a veteran. He's been in the league for a couple of years. You know what? Yeah, he may be a little bit older than some of the players, but you know what? I think his leadership will play a big role on Team Black. So let's go and see Brent Mormon. I believe he's ready for his next pick. So let's see who Brent Mormon picks up for Team White.
So Keith McEwen drafted now by Brent Mormon, 17th overall here in the DCHL draft. Now he's slowly beginning to establish some defensemen in his stable. Now we can start focusing once again on offense. Keith started in the DCHL last year. I believe he played hockey before that, but last year he made some huge strides going from being a rookie and to the end of the year being a veteran, and you definitely could see the improvement in his game from day one to the end of the season.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing Keith grow as a player this year and just see what he has to bring to the table. I believe we're ready for Ben Borden's next pick, so let's tune in.
Scott Hoover just drafted now. He's the 18th overall draft pick. Some would argue who is the better brother. They're pretty equal when it comes to skill-wise. But what Scott brings is he's not as quick as his brother, and his hands I wouldn't say are as good as his brother, but his work ethic is definitely slightly higher when it comes to, you know, digging for the puck and battling. He wears a full cage and shoulder pads, so he's not afraid to rub shoulders when he gets in the corners to win those puck battles for the loose puck. And usually when he goes in the corner, he comes out with the puck.
If I was Team White, as soon as you go in the puck, you expect Scott Hoover to be on you and to be battling you and outworking you for that puck.
As a defenseman, when you see Scott Hoover coming in on you, you're thinking about how tough that battle is going to be, and you get ready for it as you're going into the corner.
Exactly. So let's tune in. Brent Mormon is ready for his next pick.
The Cowboy, Dale Fenwick, goes and gets drafted by Team White. He's going to be playing alongside his good bud Keith McEwen. So that's good for the team. Rumor has it they will be defense partners so that they're going to, build off each other, build a little bit of chemistry. And because they're friends off the ice, hopefully that chemistry translates to a solid D pairing on the ice. Haven't really seen Dale play hockey, so I can't give you an honest assessment of his play, but I expect a great year out of him.
Exactly, especially with Keith and Dale working as a team. I just expect nothing but great things to form between the both of them.
And they'll just grow as the season progresses. Ben Borton is now ready for his next pick. I don't have the actual size of this man right here. I'm saying 6'8" at least. Zdeno Chara size, not build, he's going to run you oversized, but pure lankiness. I used to call him the Jolly Green Giant just because the man is gentle on the ice. He doesn't hurt or hit nobody, but he has the reach. When you play dead against this guy, you got undressed just because he's able to geek you completely out just by his stick handling width. Defensively, he's a great defenseman because he's tall. His stick covers a lot of ground, and he knows how to use his size to his advantage. So here we are, we're 20 rounds into the draft. Very exciting so far. Some surprise picks going early, or perhaps not where we expected them to go, to teams we didn't expect these players to go to, and then of course the guys that were meant to go places were drafted as expected. So now, after 20 rounds, Chris, how does Team Black look?
All right, Team Black started off tonight with Brian Ruggie. Following that was Sonny Hudson, Miles Pitcheney, Chasen Anderson, Jordan Hoover. Then you got Michael Lucien. I've never played with him, but from what you were saying, great asset to the team. Daniel Robinson, backup goalie, also strong defensive player. Ken Borden, the father-son duo, brings leadership to the team. Scott Hoover, another great player, grinder, just a working dog, and he's going to go into the dirty places. And then you got Steven Lampage, great player, great reach, great skills. What else can I say?
So now, a quick look at Team White and see how Brent's kind of building his team. He started out all offense, and then he moved himself into a bit of a more complete team. His first 3 picks were all offense. He went with Mike Smith, Kyle Reed, Ben Carlson. We thought he was going with some defense, but then he made a trade for Jonathan Chum. And then number 9 was his first defenseman, which was myself, Trevor Gauthier. Now, Todd McDonald, the hands man, comes in as his first pick in the second part of this draft at number 11. James Bazinet, the Energizer Bunny as we like to call him, came in as the 13th overall pick. Ali Giba, solid defenseman, great in his own zone, dangerous from the opposing team's point, his 15th pick overall. Keith McEwen, second-year player, still a bit untested, and he's got a lot to prove still, but he's come a long way in a very short period of time, and he'll be playing alongside his good buddy Dale Fenwick on the blue line. Again, a player that's relatively unknown, but expectations are relatively high that him and Keith can come together and make a solid defensive team.
I'm going to continue on with the picks. I believe Brent Mormon, Team White, is ready to get the show rolling once again, so let's go and see who he picks next. All right, 21st overall pick. Team White picks up your youngest brother, Kirk Gauthier. What are your thoughts on this pick, Trevor?
Well, you know what? Great pick for the team. He brings a wealth of hockey experience. He may be a rookie to DCHL, but he has played hockey before. Playing since he's about 5-6 years old. Played all the way ranked up. Not at any of a competitive level, but he brings a sense and a knowledge of the game that a lot of the players that are going to be drafted below him don't bring, because these players are all new to the league. Kirk's played hockey before, so hopefully he can take his experience and his knowledge to help teach and mentor these younger players. Most likely we'll be looking up because they're around the same age, right? So these younger players that are going to be getting drafted in the next few rounds here, they're going to be looking at camaraderie to be amongst themselves and each other. And a player like Kirk has played hockey before, knows what he's doing to help teach these guys.
Said. We're going to go now because Ben Borden, Team Black, is ready to make their 22nd overall pick.
Well, part of me was hoping that Alex Finlayson would have been drafted on my team. He's a dangerous guy to go in the corners with. He plays very hard on the ice, sometimes right on the line, sometimes over the line. And you need those kind of players in your team as well because they make the other team respect you. And a guy like him, he goes in the corner, he plays hard. He's not afraid to take out your feet if he has to dig for the puck. And he's also got a sense of the game where he can pick up on his team breaking out. He'll get a pass and be on an almost breakaway because of his sense that he can read the play and get out in front. And then he gets a clean shot on the goaltender once he crosses the blue line.
Exactly. And also, Alex Svensson is one of those players that will go in the dirty places. He will go in front of that net and he will battle. And because of his big body, he's a hard person to move and a huge threat in front of the net.
And now we're going to go to Brent Mormon, who is ready with his next pick. So here comes the rookies now getting picked in this year's draft. Josh Douglas is the next pick here. Relatively unknown player. Chris, what have you heard about him so far?
Word on the street is, from my resources, that he was an actual goalie in another league. Not a stranger to the ice. But if I'm correct, he's coming into the DCHL as a forward. So, Trevor, tell us how it is from being a goalie to transform from a goalie to a different style.
The DCHL is a great league for players making that transition because, I mean, the list of guys that made the transition from goaltender to out player in the DCHL is fairly actually lengthy. I mean, you got myself, you have Todd McDonald, you have Brent Mormon, you have Dan Robinson. It's a great opportunity because it's a great league for just that. You come out and you want to learn something new, you want to learn the sport of hockey. It's a great group of guys and everybody gets an opportunity to play.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing him on the ice. So let's go back to the picks, and Ben Borden team Black is ready to make his next pick.
So there you go, Brandon Dahlberg, another draft pick here in the DCHL. Dahlberg got a start in the DCHL like many of the rookies. They start moving from outdoor rink. Dahlberg was off script, come out, start playing organized. And he was under the tutelage of Ben Borden, and Ben kind of showed him the way. And Dahlberg developed from a player who's a fairly skate guy who you didn't have to worry about on the ice. Now, when he's on the ice, there is a concern, there's a threat that if he gets open and his line mates find him, he's going to put that puck in the back of it. Because he has good enough hands. If that puck gets on his stick and he's within a scoring area, he's going to put it in the net.
Yes, exactly. And for the rookies that are joining this week, that is someone that they can sort of look up to and see that where he has started and where he's now, gives them hope and not be afraid to try playing the puck. Let's go. It's Brent Mormon pick. Mika Himes is one of those players that we were just talking about that played no organized hockey. He's only been at Milestone. That's where he learned how to skate.
Mika's going to be playing forward this season, and it's a great spot for a guy like him to learn. Not too much responsibility. You can stick him out there with a couple guys that have a lot more experience, and then he can watch and learn off those guys. An alright skater. Hands aren't really there yet, but I feel he'll pop a couple goals this year. I can see it.
Alright, now we're going to go and see Ben Borden's next pick.
Dustin St. Aubin, relatively new guy to organized hockey. I believe this is actually his first season playing in an organized league. He comes like the other guys from outdoor rinks like Milestone and that kind of thing. Great opportunity for him to learn, and there's no expectations for guys like him because you don't know what to expect. He could be a superstar, or he could be like every other guy and take time to develop and learn. You don't know until he gets to it.
Yep, look forward to seeing him on the ice and just to see him grow as an athlete. So let's go to the next pick, which is by Brent Mormon, Team White.
Connor McEwen joins forces with his father. Kind of expected, like myself being put with my brother and like the Hoovers being put together. It's a great thing about the DCHL. It brings families and friends together. Connor a forward, unlike his father being a defenseman, and relatively new player. Showed up for a couple games last season, not really enough to really get too many expectations of him or analyze the player too much, so this really sees this guy for a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? And he's new to this league. Like, we don't know what he's going to bring to the table. All we can do is just wait and look forward to watching him play.
Okay, and now I believe Mr. Ben Borden is ready with his next pick. Ryan Larson, the next pick made by Mr. Ben Borden for Team Black with his 29th overall pick. Another guy, I believe, from what I've seen of him in the preseason when he did at Vermilion Bay, he looks like he's relatively new to the game, lower end of the scale, but like everybody else, you really don't know because he's a new player in the league. And I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Exactly. All right, now let's go and see Brent Moorman's next pick.
Well, there you go, Stephen Bowen, the last player to be drafted in this draft here. We had a couple late entries to bring the number up to 32, but draft officially ended because of the eligibility of players at 29. What do you think of Stephen Bowen as Brent's final pick to kind of fill his roster?
A great pick once again, you know. I think Team Whites did very well picking their players, both offensively and defensively. I'm not sure if he's played any organized sports, so this is going to be a bit of a change for him. He could be one of those guys that were the auction for Rank or Milestone boys. Like, it's hard to say. He's the rookie. I just look forward to seeing him play.
So the draft now is officially over. 29 guys know where they're going to play this year, either Team White or Team Black, and who their captain is going to be, but there's still 3 players remaining who came in just late on the eligibility for the draft, so they're ineligible. They had to be put in a separate pool to be divvied up after the draft and after the teams were determined. These players, Jody Reed, Chris Vera, and Scott Tahokee, are all waiting for somewhere to go. And word has it, Brent and Ben have been sitting down negotiating on who gets what players because they're not part of the draft. And it sounds like Ben Borton is going to be taking Scott Tahokee and Chris Vera to fill out his roster, and Brent Moorman is going to get Jody Reed to help fill up his roster so Jody can play with his brother.
Let's look back now at the teams, Trevor. Since the draft is officially over, and those 3 players that were not eligible for the draft have found a place now. So we're going to start off with Team White with Captain Brent Moorman, picking Michael Smith as his #1 pick, followed behind him with Kyle Reed, Ben Carlson, Jonathan Jump, Trevor Gauthier, Paul McDonald, James Bazinet, Alan Giba, Keith McEwen, Dale Fenwick, Kurt Gauthier, Josh Douglas, Mika Himes, Connor McEwen, Stephen Bone, and then Jody Reed.
And of course, you can't forget the goalie that Brent Moorman drafted, of course, Chris Hill, to go the boys in the net. Now, looking at Team Black, Ben Borton went a little bit different early on. He had a balanced approach, adding some defense early on. His first pick was a forward, Ryan Runge, and he went all defense, 3 in a row. Sonny Hudson, Miles Fitzgerald, Jason Anderson. He rebounded with another forward in Jordan Huber, Michael Lucid, and then back to defense with Daniel Robinson. He brought his dad on board with Ken Borton, Scott Hoover, a forward, and Stephen Lackett, another defenseman. Moving down, we have Alex Finkelson, a forward, Brandon Dahlberg, another forward, and then the rookies came piling in with Dustin St. Aubin, Ryan Larson, and then a veteran, Chris Vieira, and then another rookie, Scott Finkelson.
And you can't forget the goaltender once again, Jeremy Lucha, is in between the pipes for Team Black.
32 players entered today's draft looking for a home, and Captain Brent and Captain Ben have spoken, and they have found a home, either on Team White or Team Black. And I think the captains are happy. Are you happy with the way the draft went tonight?
Oh, beyond happy, Trevor. I think tonight went really well. It was exciting. There was crazy things happening. A trade out of all things happening tonight. I love how the teams have been built. I love how both teams have same amount of rookies on there. And I'm just looking forward to another great year at DCHL.
So before we head out, we're going to look at the draft board one more time. First overall, we had Mike Smith. Second overall, Ryan Runge. Third overall, Kyle Reed. Fourth overall, Sonny Hudson. Fifth overall, Ben Carlson. Sixth overall, Miles Pitchneys. Eighth overall, Jonathan Chump. Seventh, Jason Anderson. Ninth, Trevor Gauthier. 10th, Jordan Hoover.
Following that, 11th, Paul McDonald. 12th, Michael Rosen. 13th, James Bazinet. 14th, Daniel Robinson. 15th, Alan Giba. 16th, Ken Borton. 17th, Keith McEwen. 18th, Scott Hoover. 19th, Dale Fenwick. 20th, Stephen Lampage. 21st is Kurt Gauthier.
22nd, Alex Finlayson. 23rd, Josh Douglas. 24th, Brandon Dahlberg. 25th, Mika Himes. 26th, Dustin St. Aubin. 27th, Connor McEwen. 28th, Ryan Larson. 29th, Stephen Boone. And then to finish everything off, we had Chris Vieira 30th, 31 was Jody Reed, and 32nd was Scott Tahokee. On behalf of team captains and everybody here in studio, Chris Hill, myself, Trevor Gauthier, I'd like to say good night, thank you, and we're looking forward to another great year in the DCHL. 2012-2013 is going to be a great one. See you guys later.